care to give us in reference to that, so that our audience can have a better understanding of his activities.
All right, if you're just tuning in the first two segments we talked about Malcolm Little, better known as Malcolm X's background, and him joining the Nation of Islam, leaving the Nation of Islam, joining Sunni Islams, and then the Nation of Islam being out for his head because of him, you know, leaving the Nation of Islam and starting to kind of talk not that great about the Nation of Islam, and how it is suspected that the Nation of Islam had help from the NYPD, from the FBI, and the CIA. And so, right now, we're at that point of Malcolm X's later life, and this is when he completed the Hajj. And if you're not familiar with this, the Hajj is one of the 5 pillars of Islam, and you're supposed to complete it if you're financially able to. It is from the 8th of some month, I forgot, I am sorry, to sometimes the 13th, but commonly the 12th of that month. And you're supposed to complete it if you can provide for your family while you're gone, and if you can take the time out, if you're physically able. And this is a journey to the Mecca. And so after Malcolm X completed the Hajj, he came back home and he was feeling very renewed, and he was at a good point in his life. He was feeling pretty good, but he didn't know of the terrors that would soon come. Now, I mentioned this in the last subject. A little ways before his death, or I guess the months beforehand, Malcolm X knew he knew he was to be assassinated. He knew that the Nation of Islam was after him. He believed that they had help from the United States government, and he knew that he wasn't going to live that much longer because people wanted his head. White supremacists wanted his head. The Nation of Islam wanted his head. Hey, the government wanted his head. Everybody was out to kill Malcolm X. And so a couple weeks, I guess about a month before, he was giving an interview to a news station where he basically said, yes, the Nation of Islam is out to kill me. And he told radio stations this, and he let it be known that they were trying to kill him. And Ebony, the magazine, caught wind of this, and they decided, let's dramatize this whole situation by getting him in Ebony. And this resulted in the famous Ebony photo shoot with Malcolm X and Ebony that resulted in the photo where Malcolm X is holding a rifle and he's peering out of a window. And in talking to Ebony, he was basically saying how he would always defend his family and stuff, hence why he was posed with the rifle and, you know, peering out of a window. And this really added a lot of fuel or gas to the fire. And this resulted in his car being bombed and his house being set on fire. And then finally, when Malcolm X was preparing for a speech on Pan-Africanism and black superiority, he was preparing in the Abaddon Theater, which was packed with 400 people, and himself, so I guess 401. And somebody yelled a racial slur towards black people, "Get out of my pocket." So I'm guessing that a black person was in somebody's pocket. I don't really know what the meaning behind that was. But anyway, some of the security guards at the Abaddon Theater in the Bronx were trying to break it up when out of nowhere, people started shooting, and they eventually got Malcolm X. And there are many conspiracy theories about who killed him or why. For instance, the 3 men that were charged, one confessed, but he also signed papers that said that that the other 2 were innocent. And the other 2 spent life in jail, but that one who signed the affidavit saying they were innocent, he got out on bail in 2009, I think, and maintained his innocence up until his death in August of 2009. And so, we truly don't know who killed Malcolm X, but we do know that he was shot 21 times, ranging from his shoulders, his torso, upper area, lower body, 21 gunshots. And if you look up photos from that day in the Abaddon Theater, there's chairs knocked over, there's gunshots everywhere, there's bullet holes everywhere. And so it is truly, if you look up photos of Malcolm X, you're bound to see the ebony cover and you're bound to see the Abaddon Theater photo. But another thing that people find really weird is they couldn't really search the crime scene because the police covered it up so quick. The police like cleaned up the crime scene like that after Malcolm X, both, was assassinated. And people find that very weird. And so conspiracy theories range from saying the CIA did it, the NYPD did it, Elijah Muhammad of the Nation of Islam did it, the Nation of Islam did it, a lot of intelligence did it. And so we will never truly know, but we do know that the Nation of Islam was no stranger, and they didn't even try to say that they were innocent in it. Everyone knew that the Nation of Islam was out for his head, but they never naturally confessed to it. But in an interview a little after Elijah Muhammad's death, after Malcolm X's death, Elijah Muhammad of the Nation of Islam, he said, Malcolm Little got what he preached. And then he said, I'm not saying I had any involvement with it, but it's not hard to see that somebody killed him. And when you do think about it, it's a tragedy, yes, but I feel as though if you're preaching controversy, someone's going to try to end that. And, you know, back when Martin Luther King was preaching about equality and stuff, that was considered controversy. Why? Because we lived in a country, and especially in the South, we lived in a part where equality wasn't a thing. No one believed in equality. The founding fathers didn't, and the people of that day didn't. And so you're preaching about something that's so wild, and someone was fed up with that, and so someone decided to end Martin Luther King. And so basically you just how do I explain this? You just have to really decide if you're going to be a martyr for a cause. You really have to decide, is this what you want to give your life for? And Martin Luther King, he decided to be a martyr for his beliefs, and Malcolm X knew he was being a martyr for his beliefs.
What impact do you think that Malcolm X has upon young people like yourself, Lana, over the last minute and a half that we have?
Malcolm X has had impacts on my society, the NAACP, the BLA, which is the Black Liberation Army. He's had impacts on civil rights leaders. He's had impacts on everybody. You may not agree with what he preaches, but even if you don't agree with it, he's still impacting you because you're thinking about it. And he's been in magazines and etc., and he's always praised commonly for his beliefs, but a good deal of the time he's praised not for his beliefs, but for his courage and his strength and his mind, because he was crazy, but he was crazy smart. He knew how to articulate his beliefs and how to share his thoughts, and it may not have been correct to you, but you can't say that he didn't say it pretty well. And so he always knew the right words to use, and he knew exactly what to say. And so Malcolm X, he's shaped our society. He's helped give black people the equality that we yearned for and that we worked hard for and that we deserved. And without him and people like him, I don't think we would be in the spot that we are today.
And Lana, let me say during this last 30 seconds that we have here that we can certainly appreciate the information that you have dealing with Malcolm X, and that the information put Malcolm X in a very, very important category. And I would encourage others to listen to what you have to say. And we'll be back with our audience next week. And we encourage you to tune in again next week for another informative edition of Comments.
Thank you and good morning.